Well, apparently when Will Ferrell produces a action movie, it's released in January. So this movie was directed by Tommy Wirkola, who's only made Norwegian movies and is pretty much unknown to the Western world. Now, Tommy Wirkola tends to focus more on gore and less on story, as his Norwegian films show, as well as his newest movie, Hansel and Gretel. I guess a lot of us, including myself, have asked what happens to the children in fairy tales after the fairy tale's over. What happens to Little Red Riding Hood? What happens to Goldilocks? Apparently, they all grow up to be very, very, very attractive. Of course, this movie is no exception, starring Hawkeye and the really, really, really hot princess from Prince of Persia. They're, of course, going against another equally attractive person, Jean Grey from X-Men. And the trailer makes it seem so cool! You're fighting witches and you're doing good, but the movie kinda drags. I mean, the beginning's cool, it's the actual fairy tale, the one we've all heard of, and then we see them grow up in this montage during the credits to become the famous witch hunters. But then it just drags on and on and on without any real gripping action. I don't know, the coolest scene in the trailer is at the very end of the movie, and it doesn't even have anything to do with the story. Is it really worth sitting through a whole movie to see Hansel and Gretel fighting a fast-moving, morphing witch that isn't even in the story? How come Hansel and Gretel are using weapons that are at least a century more advanced than the era that they live in, with no explanation at all? I mean, it doesn't even show a montage of them inventing these weapons. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like a stretch for me. It boils down to Hansel and Gretel grow up, become witch hunters, and the only thing that Hansel's really good at other than fighting witches is getting drunk. And it doesn't seem to really be a problem in the movie, which normally is seen as a moral pitfall for characters, even in modern-day movies where there's drinking all over the place. Being a drunkard is still seen as a pitfall, something that hampers your ability to be the hero in the story. But in this movie, it doesn't really seem to go anywhere. You see Hansel get drunk, he's lying around on the floor all the time, but that doesn't really go anywhere, and it doesn't really make me care about him at all. So, we're going to go to the Crave scale now, and take a look at the numbers. First of all, story, I don't know. There's lots of characters that you're really wondering, were they just trying to make it less like a video game and more like a movie by adding these characters that we're supposed to care about? But we really don't, so I really didn't see the point of A, having this white witch romance with Hansel, or, you know, Gretel finding this giant troll who's somehow different from the others and he loves her. It's really a stretch, so it's a 5 out of 10. The actors, I've seen them all do better. You've seen them all do better. You've seen Jeremy Renner do much better work. He was better in The Bourne Legacy. He was better in The Hurt Locker. He was better in The Avengers. He was better in just about everything he's been in than this. Same for Gemma Arterton. I mean, she was better at being hot in The Prince of Persia. Now, Famke Janssen was the best person in this movie, acting-wise, but you've still seen her do much better work in all 3 of the old X-Men movies. So, overall, the acting is a 6 out of 10. I don't really have much to say about the music in this movie. It was originally written by someone in Norway, so that's pretty cool, I guess, but it's not really memorable. So, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. You can download it and, you know, listen to it if you want, but it's not going to be something that's going to stay on your iPod more than a month. Now, number 4, the tech side of everything. This is actually where Hansel and Gretel did pretty good. They made gore look awesome. They had great lighting in their scenes. The CG was actually pretty good. There were some parts where I was like, that's not really believable. But overall, I was impressed by that. So actually, that's where I'm going to be giving my highest score today, a 7 out of 10. Now the 5th one, message. I was really, really, really confused about what the message was supposed to be in this movie. What's the message? Is it that there's good and there's bad, and usually the good wins in the end, but bad stuff happens in the middle and in the beginning, and it's a really long message? Is the message that it's okay to be a witch as long as you're a good witch and you're pretty? I mean, is the message that Jeremy Renner makes diabetes look cool? If so, then yes. Otherwise, I don't really know. I'm gonna have to give the message a 5 out of 10 because there probably was some kind of message, because I just came up with 3 possible messages, but I don't know what it was.